Good evening. Welcome to North Mentor Centenary on this evening of Ash Wednesday. This evening I'll be reading from the book of Jonah, the first 3 verses out of the first chapter. It's entitled, Jonah Flees from the Lord. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah ran away from the Lord, and he headed to Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port, and after paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee the Lord. May the Lord have his blessing on these words. Many might know that this is one of my favorite books in the Bible, and it deals a lot with the fact that Jonah, being a very committed believer in God, was asked to do something by God, and when he was asked, he went directly 180 degrees away from what God had asked him to do and fled. And as we know, he boarded the ship, and they were out of port and into the sea, and that evening, a huge storm like none they'd ever seen had come up, and it was in danger of perishing the ship. And the captain went around to each of the people within the ship and said, "Pray to whatever God you believe in." And Jonah cowered in the depths of the boat, finally came forward and said, "I'm a Hebrew, and my God is upset with me. That's the reason for the storm." And he convinced the crew to throw him overboard, and we might know the rest of the story, that he was swallowed by a huge fish and spent 3 days in the belly of that fish, whereto he repented to God, and he agreed that he would go to Nineveh and preach. And so he did, and immediately the city of Nineveh repented of their ways. They put on sackcloths and sat in ashes and repented, because they didn't want their entire world to be destroyed. Now, in truth, the reason that Jonah didn't want to go and talk to the Ninevites was that he knew that God would forgive them, and he knew in his heart that eventually the Ninevites would go back to their old ways, of which they eventually did. And then we come this evening to Ash Wednesday, that time at the beginning of Lent where we decide that we're going to draw closer to God. We're going to re-enter our prayer life even more fervently. Many of us might give up something that has been distressing us, and others, in my opinion, they might placate this season of Lent by giving up sugar or maybe meat on Friday and going out to fish fries. You know, in the modern world, going to fish fries on Friday night is what the meaning of Lent is. All of which can be important, but this is a time that we gather back in and we rid ourselves of all of the stuff that has accumulated. And reading one of the UMC websites, they said, you know, this past year has been so isolating for us. Never in our lifetimes has there been an opportunity for us to rid ourselves of all the stuff of the world and draw in. Because of social distancing and isolation, we've had more opportunities to get closer to God than many other generations prior to us. And yet here we stand on the night of Ash Wednesday, maybe wondering what we need to give up, what we need to correct, so that we can draw closer to the Lord. And I would say to you that it's not as simple as giving up bread, maybe starting a new diet. All of those things might be worthwhile in your life. But if I could use myself as an example, the last few years I've struggled with weight, and I start a new diet and I do well for it for a while, and then something happens and I go back to my old ways, much like the Ninevites, maybe even like Jonah. The fact is that the truth is that maybe I can only sustain a given lifestyle for a while. Maybe I can adhere to a diet for a while. Maybe I can possibly live a sin-free life for a while. But the fact is, the thing that's missing in many of those occasions is I can't do any of that without God. Thinking that I can change my life for the better, for the long term, without deepening my relationship with Christ and His Father is merely child's play, and maybe placating what needs to be the greater good. So what are we to do? If you look around in this sanctuary, it's been a while since we've been in this sanctuary. We were here for a while in the Christmas season and Advent, that time of preparation for the receiving of the Christ child. And while some things have changed and some things have remained the same, and even the closet we have adorning the pulpit aren't up to speed with where we should be for Lent, because we just simply haven't been in this portion of the building. The fact is that many things have changed over the year, and many things have not. We've gotten better at communicating with people outside of the walls of this church and ministering to the public and ministering to each other, even in times that we haven't been able to gather together in one place. But many of the things haven't changed. And oftentimes that one thing that could probably bring the most change to our lives, that relationship with our Christ, has been most ignored. We've worried about elections, we've worried about riots, we've worried about the way we treat each other, and quite frankly, maybe we've ignored our relationship with our Christ. So in this time of preparation that we are leading up through Lent into the Easter season, I'd ask that you consider giving up something of importance this year. Sure, if you need to attend to your diet or maybe an exercise regimen, this might be a good time, a break in the year to be able to do that. But I'd ask that you seriously consider your relationship with your Christ and with your God. And maybe consider not necessarily giving up anything, but finding a way to make your faith and your relationship with God more prominent in your life. That's my prayer that I ask for you this evening, is that we all find a way to make God more prominent in our lives.